The Hoyt Ventum Pro 30. In this video, I'm going to do a review of the Hoyt Ventum Pro 30. I'm going to go over some of the specifications of the bow, some of the observations I make. I'm going to go over the speed that this bow produces at a 30-inch draw length, 70-pound setting. So I'm Sean McVeigh, Sean's Outdoor Adventures. Today I am back at Palo Outdoors in Palo, Iowa. Today I'm going to review the Hoyt Ventum Pro. And I want to give a special thanks to Palo Outdoors for allowing me to come and film here today. They have a great selection of bows, great selection of accessories, a great selection of even guns if you're into that. And if you come soon, you'll even get to see that Matthew, the manager, is trying to look like Santa Claus. He's a great guy. Thanks, Matt, for letting me come out and do this review on the Hoyt Ventum Pro, the 30-inch axle-to-axle model. So let's get right into it. Now, last year, Hoyt came out with a totally different cam system than they had for many years. So for many years, they used the hybrid cam system, which had a yoke on the top limb, and then there was a cable that ran from cam to cam. And the new design, you have cables are from the cams to the cams. There's nothing going to the limbs. And the cables also crisscross over, so the cable that is on the right-hand side of the bottom limb is going to come onto the left-hand side of the top limb, and so both cables do that. So that's the sort of cable configuration. And last year I noted they had like a sort of a fin on the cam. And on the bottom cam, the fin is on the inside. And last year, the bow that I was handed to review, the cam lean was so radical, I was like, man, maybe those fins are there to try to help keep the string on the bow. But that's not the case. So apparently the fins are intended for weighting, for weight, to put weight in certain areas, probably to help with the overall performance would be the intention. One thing you'll note on the cam system as well is all of your draw lengths are able to be made with the module that comes on the bow, which I really like. I like a bow that you can change the draw length settings with the mod that comes on the bow. Some bow manufacturers have modules that are interchangeable. So if you want to try a different draw weight, you have to swap out the modules. It kind of is a little of a pain. You got to spend a bunch of money just to try the bow at different settings. I also really like the fact that they have two let-off options for you, and it's well marked. Some bows have a way to adjust the let-off, but it's not well labeled, and sometimes it's just not clear. So I like that about this, the way they have the cam system designed. Great job, Hoyt. Also, they must have seen my video last year, because the cam lean on this bow there is none. The cams are dead on, which is nice to see coming out of the package, because when you're tuning, you want to start from ground zero. You want to start with no cam lean and adjust your bow from there. The roller for the cables has two different diameter wheels on it, which is another notable difference. So there's like a smaller diameter wheel on the inner one and a larger diameter on the outer one. So it's another thing that I've noticed different from in the past. Hoyt's done a lot to balance their bows. So they have options for you to mount a sight right on the center of the riser, so you're not adding weight over here. They also have an option for you to get a rest that'll mount on the center of the riser, again, so you're not adding weight to the side. Like, this is just a rest that Palo Outdoors put on so I could test the bow out. But this adds weight to that side of the bow. Whenever you add weight over here, you're going to need to add weight over here to offset it. So Hoyt came out with a way for you to have a sight and a rest that'll mount in line with the riser, so you're not adding side weight, so you won't have to compensate that over here. They also give you a weight, sort of like a little mini stabilizer. There is a rubberized little piece inside, and the weights on the end do flex. So they give you a little miniature weighted stabilizer here to help balance the bow. There's also rubberized silencing mechanisms on the top and the bottom here that are very soft, and those will help absorb sound and vibration. So let's draw this back a couple times, shoot it through the chronograph here. First, I want to just test the back wall, and currently it is on the 85% let-off setting. So I'm shooting at 30-inch draw, 70 pounds, 350 grain arrow. Let's go ahead and draw back. I'm going to ease down. So with an 85% let-off, it is what you would kind of come to expect. You ease up a little bit and it'll come off the back wall for you. Once you get up more like 90% let-off, you almost feel like you have to push your hand forward. As a hunter, I actually prefer 80 to 85% let-off. So let's go ahead and take a shot here. I shoot all of my bows from 36 inches from the base of the tripod for consistency. Also so that the arrow doesn't interfere with the sensors before the shot goes off. So 338 feet per second and 80.4 decibels. Let's get an average. (337 feet per second), 81.1 decibels. (339 feet per second), 81.5 decibels. Now let's just do a quick test with a 400, that was a 350 grain arrow. Let's take a look at a 450 grain arrow. (300 feet per second). Now for you guys who like a heavy arrow for hunting, I'll shoot a 550 grain arrow and get a sense of what that'll be. Get 274 and 79.2 decibels. Now I will mention that I reached out to Hoyt asking them if they would let me do a review on the bow, sending me one, so I could test it at all the draw length settings, so I could make draw force curves at every draw length. Because I did a test on some bows earlier this year. Actually, Bear Archery reached out to me and said, would you take a look at a couple of our bows? We'd like to send them to you. I said, absolutely. That gave me the ability to really do a lot more testing, because when I'm here at a pro shop, I'm limited on what I can ask them to do for me. I'm limited on the amount of time I can use their range because they have customers. But when a company sends a bow to me, I can really take my time with it. So I asked Hoyt if they would send me, their bows to review. I'd even send them back if they wanted them back. But they did not even respond. So they were not interested. But maybe next year, Hoyt, I know you're watching. Maybe next year you'll let me review the bow, send them to me directly, so I can give an even more extensive evaluation, and we can see how the draw force curve may change with the draw length, because you're going to have a difference in the draw force with the different settings for the draw length with a module that is adjustable on the bow. Let's go ahead back to the home office and go over the data.
All right, I recorded that actually weeks ago, and I had a little bit of cold then. As you can tell, I'm over the cold. I've got Hoyt's website pulled up. Now, one of the things I'm going to mention right here at the start may change, because I think maybe there's some data put in incorrectly on the website, and they may change it by the time you see this video. I don't know. It'll depend on how quickly they see the video and make the change. But when you pull up Hoyt's webpage, let me just pan over. I got it on the laptop here. So what you have is a page that has their hunting bows, and the Ventum Pro 30, which is what I reviewed here. At the bottom it says 30 to 80 pound draw weight there. When you go to look at more details and you scroll down let me just scroll down real quick to show you, it says 40 to 80 pound draw weight. So there's a little discrepancy there, and I'm sure they'll correct that at some point. And when it says 30 to 80 or 40 to 80, it's not one bow will go from 40 pounds all the way to 80 pounds. The bow that I tested only went to 70 pounds, and in fact it was just a hair shy of hitting 70 pounds when I tested it. So typically bows ship with about a 10 pound to 15 pound weight range. Well, flagship type bows. Your entry level bows or more like intermediate bows, they make them now that have a larger range for being able to, you know, be spread out, and a kid could grow with a bow, kind of basically. So with this bow, looking at my data chart, the brace height, I'll post my data chart here. You can look at it, you can pause the video. Things to look for is the green box on the left has, you know, their advertised measurements for like brace height, ATA, things like that, draw length, and then what I measured. And then there's the price there is $1,249 is what's listed on the website. The draw force curve is posted there. The arrow weight for all the shots, 350 grains and down to 550 grains. On the right is the draw length and the draw weight at that given draw length. So the peak weight that I hit was 69.4 pounds. And the speed that I calculated with my testing at the 350 grain arrow was 338 feet per second. Now, if you'll take the time to look at Hoyt's website, they have a lot of color options. Let's see if I can pan this so that we can both be in here. So when you go to their website, it's that they're advertising ATA, which is the ratings that I tested it at, which is 30-inch draw, 70 pounds, 5 grains per pound. And I was like 0.6 of a pound shy of 70, I believe it was. They're measured 342 feet per second. I'm sorry, 338. It's very close. 30-inch axle to axle cinches brace, 6.5 pounds. I weighed mine, and I mentioned it on there. Let's see, mine measured 4.6 pounds, and that was with a whisker biscuit on there. So take that off. I might have even had a mass weight a little under their advertised. They've got their new cam system they came out with last year. They're still rolling with that. They've got their shock absorbers. I've noted that. Their sight system, the inline with the riser. I mentioned that. They are pointing out their vital point grip. I didn't mention anything about the grip at the shop. They have a spot down on the lower portion of the bow for a back-facing stabilizer. And there's little legs that can be attached to the front-facing stabilizer on the bow, which you could just stand the bow up. That's actually kind of nice, especially if you hunt out of a ground blind. You know, it has to be a fairly flat surface, you know, for that to work, but a nice little thing there. And then they're putting it right next to the 33. They do make a 33-inch axle to axle. Slightly slower, longer axle to axle length, and a little bit larger of a brace height. You know, the overall weight's going to be a little higher. It's 4.67 pound mass weight. It'll go to a 31-inch draw, so people like me with the longer draw length, you're going to need the 33-inch axle to axle. But you can go to Hoyt's website, make sure you get all the details of each technology they're putting in the bow here. I'll just mention that to you here, but they have it laid out real nice right there on the website. I'm also going to I'm going to start making a review page for my website. Now I'm going to put a little bit more detail, and I'm also going to probably be starting a podcast, and I'll talk about some of these things in the podcast, maybe even a little more than I mentioned in the video here. But all in all, I think Hoyt's definitely been making an effort. I mean, they, as a company, they're trying to progress in technology, in performance. So I think they're working on that. I do think this bow, they made some, the one that I handled this year, even right out of the box, they made more of an effort to get the cams in line. They do have a shim kit that I believe they will sell to a dealer, and you could go to the dealer to have, you know, your cam shimmed if your cam lean's out of whack or you need some shimming for the tuning process. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm actually going to do a comparison video comparing this Hoyt to the Matthews. So since this is a 30-inch axle to axle and Matthews has a 29, I figured I'm going to compare the two of those. So stay tuned for that. And I'm actually going to put the draw force curves next to each other, talk about what I noticed when I drew one bow to the other, things like that. Folks, I want to wish you a very blessed and happy new year, and God bless you all.